Hello there! In this video, I'll be doing an update to a video I did earlier this year about modifications I've made to this Glock 48 here. Part of what spurred this on was one part wanting to update that, but also I'm recovering from an injury, so I can't really go out and record footage while shooting. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of give an update over a gun that I've carried a ton. And especially after this injury, I'm carrying it more and more because having a heavier gun on me is hurting my back. So I got into a car accident last month, and while the other driver is fine, my truck got totaled, and I sustained some back injury. Nothing that can't be fixed with rest, recuperation, and some trips to the chiropractor. But as such, I'm having to kind of take things a little bit slower. But I thought a tabletop video here at my workbench would be cool for this gun. So what is this gun here? This is a Glock 48 non-MOS. This is a gun that I've owned for about 2.5 years, and the work that's been done on this gun has happened over that 2.5 year period. This is a gun that I've carried quite a bit. It's a gun that I've shot multiple classes with and taken a couple of classes, or taught a couple of classes with, and overall it's a gun that I've really been impressed by. So I'm going to kind of go top to bottom for what I've done to the gun here, because it has changed since the last video back when I wrote my review for this gun for PowerPeak.com at the start of the year. So starting off here, we have a base model Glock 48. Why did I go with this? Well, I had an idea in mind when I wanted to get into a slimline gun of what I wanted done to it, and that was not something I could reasonably do with one of the MOS guns. I don't really care about having the accessory rail for a light on here because this is not a gun that I really foresaw putting a light on, and I wanted to go non-MOS because I wanted to put an RMRcc on here. So what I did is I bought this gun, I converted it to using the Shield Arms S15 magazines by swapping out the magazine release, and then I mailed the slide off to a company called Battleworks. They're based out of Connecticut, and I've sent them a couple of guns. They do really good work. They did the Cerakoting job, which I can explain why I've got peanut butter brown here. But what I had them do was to mill the gun for an RMRcc, and then move my rear sight in front of the Optic cut, and then have me proper co-witness sights. So why did I do this? I'll link it down below, and I talked about it recently in that Glock 45 video I did. I like having my rear sight in front of the Optic because it helps to protect the front glass of the Optic from a lot of the crud that comes out of the ejection port. I also did it because when teaching newer shooters or new to red dot shooters, like the gospel of the red dot, I found that having rear sight, Optic, front sight in that order can confuse a lot of people. Having the rear sight in front of the Optic, a lot of people just stop paying attention to the rear sight and focus on using the dot, right? They get that good target focus, they're just using the dot. Obviously, we still want to have backup iron sights on the gun because even with the highest quality red dots on the market, they can still fail. These don't take up any sort of real estate on the gun. Why not have them? So I'm using an RMRcc. It's very hard to see it through the camera there, but of course it's on. This is one of the 3 MOA ones. I have a full review on this Optic that I put up a little over a year ago. Some people love the RMR, some people hate it. This is literally just an RMR if it got left in the dryer. It's like an 80% size RMR. I like it. It's not without its faults, but I wanted it to be on this gun, and I'm glad that I got it on this gun. The irons are a black serrated rear AmeriGlow and then a tritium front AmeriGlow. The reason why I went with these, with the blackout rear, the tritium front, is because AmeriGlow didn't have any blackout front sights. I don't mind having the tritium here. It's something that I used to care a lot more about not having it there. You know, I've kind of mellowed on that because this doesn't really get in the way when you're shooting the gun, but some people really care about it. Otherwise, I'm okay with the sighting situation. I've used the gun irons only, just turned the Optic off for testing, and of course shot with the Optic plenty. I've got dings and dents on all of that there. So yeah, I can't complain too much. Now, why did I go peanut butter brown? This is another one of those supply things. This gun was worked on at the tail end of COVID, and Battleworks they told me that the lead time to get black Cerakote was kind of long. And I said, you know what? I can have a two-tone peanut butter Glock. The thing is ugly, but it's very distinctive, right? Is this a color I would have picked now in 2024? Probably not. But I like that it shows a lot of the wear, because I've got, good honest wear on this gun after close to 14,000 rounds now through this thing over the last 2.5 years. You can see at the front of the muzzle, quite a bit of wear. You got the silver poking through there on that side, near the serial number because of coming in and out of a holster. But yeah, it's a goofy color. Again, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. If you like it, cool. This is my gun, and I still think it's but it's funny because it's the peanut butter Glock. For the slide, it's a little sticky, so it's not showing it there. I have one of these slimline Langdon SCDs, and what this means is that as we press the trigger, The slide plate will hinge out the back. The reason why I like this is because when I'm reholstering, I can put my thumb on the back of the gun and then go into the holster. And the reason why I like this is kind of a holdover from my old DASA days, is that if something were to get inside the trigger guard, you'd require a significant amount of force to be able to push that slide plate past with your thumb. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're reholstering safely and doing it properly. However, having an extra safety device that doesn't impede the reliability or the trigger feel or anything is something that I'm happy to have. Now, I am still using the OEM slide release. I talked on my G45 video, I've got the CAGWorks ones here. The reason why I had them on these guns is because I find that the ambidextrous guns, I tend to get worse slide override issues. Try saying that 10 times fast. On the slimline gun, since it's a smaller slide release, I don't actually find myself riding the slide release all that bad, even with my big hands. So I haven't swapped that yet. I think I mentioned in the video earlier this year that I was thinking about doing it, but truth be told, if I don't need that thing, it's probably not going on the gun, and I haven't found the need for it yet. Now, I've been using the Shield Arms S15 magazines for a long while now. These are very, very divisive, whether they're the Gen 2 mags here, the Gen 3 mags that have the rivets on the back or the reinforcing pieces, or they're the old Gen 1 mags. I've generally had good experiences with them. Over the course of having this gun, I've had something like 12 or 13 malfunctions over about 14,000 rounds. If you were to crunch those numbers, that's like a 99.99991% reliability rate. These magazines are not without their faults. They're kind of expensive. I find that the springs need some set in them before they actually work super reliably. Half the malfunctions I had occurred while I was at a class with John Johnston last year for technical handgun as part of citizen defense research. And I was using brand new Shield magazines that I had never loaded before. I find that generally speaking, if you load these a day or two before you take them out to go test them, they work fine. That was a rookie mistake on my end to bring brand new gear to a class. While the gun wasn't brand new, nor the holster I was using, the magazines I bought were all fresh, brand new ones. Now, I will say this too, and again, I don't want to give away the goose because I'm planning on doing a video on these magazines as a whole. The Gen 3 magazines are the most reliable. They're the nicest ones. The follower geometry, the mag bodies, the extra reinforcing, they offer them like this where they're nickel plated to help them feed more reliably but also come out of the guns easier. I do dig it. The last thing I've done to the gun here externally is this Shield Arms S15 magwell. I went with this not because I wanted to have faster reloads, which is a nice benefit. My hands are big enough that when I was gripping the gun, I was actually getting pinch from my floor plates on the pinky of my finger. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, tough it up, you pansy. The reason why it got to being an issue is that I was finding after shooting for a couple hundred rounds at a class that it was actually causing enough discomfort that it was causing my grip to loosen a little bit. And we don't want that on a smaller gun, right? The magwell was $70, and I think for me it was $70 well spent. Now, going inside of the gun, I did modify some of my springs here to make the gun have a slightly better trigger. I'm using a factory trigger bar and trigger, and most of the internals here are factory. I do have one of the Ghost connectors in here. I forget which one it is, but it's the one that they sell for the 43X and 48. And then I'm doing my traditional increased power striker spring, reduced power firing pin block spring. Overall, the trigger pull does come down a little bit, but it's not like it's significantly lighter, nor does it change the feel of the trigger. I know it sounds weird, but I want my Glock's trigger to feel like a Glock trigger. This one here is a little creepy. Of course, the gun's quite dirty right now, which is part of it there, but it's actually one of my better Glock triggers. And it's funny, I did an article this year that was a review of the Wilson Combat EDCX9. Part of why I sold that gun is because I shoot this one better. Despite this being a plastic slimline gun, I was shooting it better than an all aluminum and steel, full-size double-stack 1911. So, yeah, now the 48's a gun that I've shot a lot. I really enjoy it, and it's really a pleasant gun to carry too. I've used different holsters over the years, but my favorite one so far, and this is not a surprise, is one of the AIWBs from JM Custom Kydex. This is one that I bought for this gun January-ish of this year. I was using a Filster Skeleton beforehand, which is a good holster, but this one's just a little bit better. It's a nice, small profile on the body. Between the wing and the clip, I find that it conceals quite well. My only gripe, per se, with it is that because of where I have the clip positioned for concealment, I don't have a ton of clearance between my belt and then my hand to reach in here to grab the gun. This is, of course, something that can be remedied by changing the clip position on the holster, because I can do that to make the ride height different. But I like where it is. I'm okay with my draw maybe being a tenth of a second slower because I have to really focus in on the grip there to get the gun out. But this is a gun that I generally shoot pretty well. Now, again, carry-wise, what am I carrying for ammo? In my full-size guns, I carry 124 grain plus P HSTs, and in this gun, it's just the standard pressure loaded, the same variety. The bullet design is a little bit different depending on the age of the ammo that you're buying. But I've generally had very good experiences with the 124 grain HSTs out of the Glock 48, to the point that I carry that also in the 43X I have, which is a work-in-progress gun. But yeah, not much more to say here. This is a gun that I've shot a lot on this channel. If you're someone who's been subscribed for a while or seen a lot of the footage here, I would say a good 50 or 60 of the videos on the channel here are me just shooting this gun with various drills. So yeah, if you're on the fence about a 48 or a 43X, these are pretty divisive guns. I know a lot of people who hate them, a lot of people who like them. I'm not a Glock fanboy. I'm not a fanboy of anything really, aside from just guns that shoot nicely and carry well. And in my hands, this is a gun that I feel exceptionally confident with, given the small size. The only guns that I've, in this size range for how thin it is, that I really feel this confident is in 9mm, I should say. I really like how a lot of the Smith & Wesson shields shoot, although they're a fair bit taller, and Smith & Wesson has their quality control issues. And I like how some of the P365 shoot, but SIG is a bucket of worms that I don't want to get into, and I have not enjoyed a lot of what they've done to make the P365 a little bit larger. And again, that's a topic for a different time, but the 48, the 43X, those have worked well for me, to the point that I'm testing out the Glock 42, which you'll be seeing more of on the channel soon. But yeah, Glock 48, hard to beat this gun, at least for me. It's kind of my new do-all gun. It's one that I've got a lot of time with, one that I've had a lot of good luck with, and one that I'm going to keep shooting and carrying until I find something that I shoot and carry better with. So yeah, anything I touched on this gun that's been reviewed, whether it's on YouTube or my website, will be linked down in the description below. And if you have any questions about this gun, or just modifying your carry guns in general, you can leave a comment. I'm not going to do videos on how to specifically modify things because YouTube doesn't like that, but if you have any questions, let me know and I can try to help out if I can. Thanks for watching.